In this video, I'm going to be testing out these 3 budget shoes from 3 major brands. I'm going to be finding out whether these cheaper alternatives are actually any good. Maybe you're a beginner runner and you're looking for a running shoe from a major brand and you haven't got the sort of money to spend on £150 running shoe, and you see these on their websites at like 70 or 50 pounds and you think, oh, maybe that's a good shoe, or maybe it's not. Or maybe you're somebody who doesn't have that sort of £150 and can't afford that sort of money to spend on a running shoe. Are these cheaper alternatives any good? Well, in this video, I'm going to find out. So I'm going to now spend the next 4 to 6 weeks running in each of these shoes. We're going to get these into the rotation, and I'm going to then come back and let you know whether these cheaper alternatives are actually any good as running shoes, or should you avoid them and spend your money elsewhere. Okay team, so we are back and we are ready to rate these affordable running shoes. So it's been about 6 weeks, maybe a bit more than that. We filmed the first part back in 2024, but it's taken a little bit longer than expected to get some miles in these shoes. But I've been using them on and off basically in my week where I've got a sort of a run where I don't really need to wear a certain pair of shoes that we're maybe testing for a video. I've been using the other shoes. So it's taken a little bit longer, but I wanted to get some miles in them before we could do like a proper review. There's no point me just running in them once and then putting out a video. So yes, so we're finally at a point now where we can sort of conclude whether these cheap running shoes, these affordable running shoes, are actually any good. Right, so before we get actually into the meat and gravy of this video, I do want to say again, I think this video is probably more applicable to like newer runners, anybody who's maybe doing couch to 5k, somebody who simply can't afford like £150 on a daily trainer. And that's why I kind of wanted to make the video. I think I wanted to try and appeal to a different sort of runner. I appreciate that you guys and girls who watch this YouTube channel may be like a shoe geek or, you know, an experienced runner. But I think this this video is important for people who may be looking at getting into running, or yes, don't simply have the money to go out and spend all that sort of cash on the latest running shoe. I appreciate you sort of more experienced people who follow the channel will probably go out and buy an older model that's been reduced. But yeah, I do think this is an important video because I hope that it appeals to, say, new runners, maybe couch to 5k, or people who simply can't afford the new brand spanking new models. And it's all a bit confusing because there's so many sorts of running shoes out there. Right, so with that out of the way, let's get into the cheap running shoe challenge, the affordable running shoes. Let me break it down for you. Let me talk about each one individually, and then we'll sort of rank them 1 to 3 or 3 to 1, whatever way we do it. And I'll let you know which one is best and actually whether any of them are any good as well. Okay, so in terms of testing, like I said, we've been using them for some runs on and off in the week, and most of those runs have been around 3 to 4 miles. I did one run, I think, in each that was 6 miles. Maybe one of them was 5, but either way, it's not super long or anything like that. I've also been on the treadmill in all 3 shoes. And what else do you need to know? Most of the stuff was done in London, most of the runs, because I run most of the week in London. I have been down the canal and tow paths in all 3 shoes as well to check out the grip. And I think that's about it in terms of testing. So you've got a bit of background on what we've been doing with the shoes. Okay, so the first shoe is the Versablast from Asics. This shoe I paid £70, but since we started doing this cheap shoe challenge, I've seen it reduced down. It's got the Amplifoam Plus midsole in it. That's an EVA midsole. Now, I don't have these stack heights confirmed, but I've seen 31mm in the heel with a 6mm drop, but I say that's not confirmed. We've got a decent rubber coverage on the outsole. We've got an engineered mesh upper. It weighs 300 grams and it fits true to size in my UK 9.5. Next up, we have the Nike Revolution 7, which I paid $59.99, but again, I've seen that now cheaper since we purchased the shoe back in 2024. This features the Nike Phylon or Pylon EVA midsole, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. 31mm stack in the heel with a 10mm drop. This also weighs 300 grams and is a UK 9.5, fits true to size. We've got a nice waffle rubber outsole and we've got a mesh upper on the shoe as well. And then lastly, we've got the Adidas Duramo SL2, which I paid £55, and I've still seen it for £55. It's not been made any cheaper. We've got the Light Motion midsole. We are weighing just under 300 grams, 298. This doesn't fit true to size. It's a UK 10, and there's a story behind that. I'll come on to that. I believe we've got 31mm stack in the heel with a 9mm drop. That's according to the Adidas website. We've got a synthetic and textile mesh upper, and then we've got an Adiwear outsole on the shoe. Okay, so let's start with the Adidas. The first pair I had to send back. I got a UK 9.5 and they were too small, so I had to send them back, and I got this UK 10. Right, so this shoe features the light motion midsole. The SL2 Speed shoe features light stripe, but that shoe's £80, which is the same price as the Adidas Duramo SL2. But yes, this features the light motion midsole, which is like it's just a basic EVA. It is extremely firm, and I'm guessing that after probably about 200 miles, it may break in, but it's extremely firm. The shoe is comfortable in terms of the fit and the feel. The lacing's okay. It's not brilliant, but you do need a double knot on the shoe because it will come undone if you do a single knot. The Adiwear outsole on the shoe is actually a big selling point for this shoe. It is very grippy, very durable, and performs exactly as you'd expect from Adiwear. The upper is pretty breathable. I've had no issues, even though it's been cold and that lot, but I've had no issues in terms of the upper, in terms of breathability or anything like that. The ride is, like I said, firm. It's okay. It was better on the treadmill than it was on the roads, but it is very, very firm. Okay, so here's the Revolution 7, and the first thing I'm going to do is compliment it about the outsole. I think the outsole on this shoe is fantastic. I have actually been quite surprised by this shoe, and I'll come onto it in a bit. But the biggest problem with this shoe is the lack of foam under the forefoot, and I think this is something that all Nike shoes are suffering with a bit at the moment. I remember last year when we had the Pegasus 41, the Pegasus Plus, all sort of got no foam under the forefoot, and it feels almost like there's nothing there under the forefoot on this shoe. It isn't an issue on the treadmill, that wasn't a problem, but again on those roads down the canal towpath, when I took them down there, it wasn't a very particularly enjoyable ride. But I have to give it a compliment in terms of the fit and the comfort of the shoe. For the price point, I think it's very, very good. The upper, which is cheap and horrible looking, actually is very, very comfortable and pretty breathable considering the price point. And then lastly, we've got the Asics Versablast, which was a bit of a surprise hit actually, and again I'll come on to that when I conclude. So we've got the Amplifon EVA foam basically, and it feels like an Asics from about 5 years ago, which is not a bad thing necessarily. Again, comfort's good, and all the comfort, to be honest with you, on these shoes, considering the price points, is actually a lot better than I thought it would be. You get really good lockdown with the lacing on this shoe. The outsole's good. It's not as good as the other shoes that we've have here. It was a little bit slippery in some of the more greasier conditions, let's say, but just running around in London and that lot, it's been absolutely fine. Upper's good. It's probably the warmest out of all of them, but the lockdown is definitely the best out of all three shoes. All of these shoes are very stable. That's probably because they've got very firm foams in them. And I must compliment this shoe in terms of its fit and this feel. This probably fits the most true to size in terms of my UK 9.5. This fits like an Asics normally does. But then again, this is the most expensive shoe. This is £70 if you buy this on the Asics website. Right, so that's a little bit about each shoe. Let's now rank them 1 to 3 and give you some feedback in terms of what I think about each one. Right, so in third place is the Adidas. This Adidas, firstly, suffers from a terrible upper. You get no sort of support in this upper at all, and the lockdown is awful. I said about it earlier, you have to double knot these things because the laces just have got a magic trick of coming undone on their own. This light motion is the firmest out of all of these foams. I know the Nike doesn't have much under the forefoot, but this really is a firm feeling foam. And again, that will probably break in at some point, but I don't know, if you're putting these shoes on for the first time, you're doing couch to 5K or something like that, you're going to go, what the hell is this on my feet? So yes, this is probably the worst out of these shoes. I would say avoid this. You're better off spending the money elsewhere, maybe, and we'll come on to the other shoes, but maybe on something else entirely, because this, unfortunately, with this upper and this midsole, this is definitely one to avoid. Right, so in second place is the Revolution 7, which has actually surprised me. When I got them out of the box, I thought, oh God, these are going to be awful. Firstly, they look awful and they look cheap, but actually they've surprised me. They performed pretty well on the treadmill. They weren't too bad over a 5K distance. The outsole on this thing is a winner, which I really got to give it massive kudos for, because I think the outsole on this thing is brilliant. Like I said, the upper's okay. It's a comfortable shoe, and it does, you know, the basics all right. You know, it's 50, what the price I say it was? Actually, you can get it for £42. So look, it's not the worst shoe here, okay? So it's better than I thought it would be. I think if you got it in another colorway, it probably wouldn't be so bad. So I think this is a shoe that you could probably wear gym, bit of treadmill, bit of stuff on the bike, then do some strength work, maybe some plyo. This would probably work. You've got to be aware that under this forefoot, There's hardly any foam and you can really feel that. So just be aware of that. It's not the best thing in terms of the feeling under the forefoot. But like I said, if you're just doing like gym work and you're doing a bit of running, you're doing a bit of cross training, that sort of thing, then at £42, this could be justifiable. Right, so the winner is the Asics Versablast 4. This is the best sort of running shoe out of these three. The issue I have with this is that it's £70 on the Asics website and it's not worth that at all. This shoe you should be paying maybe £40 for, if that. If you get that for £40, then it's okay. I think this is the most runnable shoe, and this is a shoe that you could take to 10k, for example. It's got plenty of foam under the forefoot and in the heel. The Amplifoam Plus is probably the best foam out of all the three shoes that I have here today. As I said, it feels like an Asics from about 5 years ago, which is not a bad thing. You're getting a good fit, you're getting a good feel, you're getting a good lockdown, you're getting a good-ish outsole. It is, as I say, a bit sketchy in the sort of slippery conditions. But in terms of as a running shoe, this is the most sort of viable option. But don't pay £70 for it. Right, team, so that's Cheap Shoe Challenge complete. Affordable running shoes. Are these sort of cheaper alternatives on the sort of main brands, the big brands, actually realistic running shoes? I don't think they are, to be honest with you. I think the Asics is the closest thing to being a sort of cheap alternative. If you are struggling in terms of affordability for running shoes, I would look at, say, somewhere like Start Fitness, where they do big discounts. Use the code FORDY runs, and you could pick up some of like 1 or 2 year old models, and that's probably a better shout than these cheaper alternatives. But I do understand some people, you know, they take up running and go, right, I'm going to go and get a new pair of running shoes. Where the hell do you start? There's so many options out there, and you go onto your like your Nikes, your Adidas, or your Asics, and you go, well, you know, these look all right for 50 quid. So I do understand that. But so that's why I hope this video has helped. I would tend to avoid them, if I'm honest, and look at some of those, like I said, those like sort of models that have now sort of, you know, version 2 or 3 of that have now come out. Look on YouTube, look at reviews and that sort of thing, so you can get a feel of what you're looking for. The problem is with these cheaper shoes is that they've got those really firmer foams in them, and I think the rides are a bit terrible and they're not very comfortable, and you could end up doing more harm than good. Right guys, so there we go. Let me know if this was useful. Let me know if you want to see a little bit more of this through the rest of the year. We can do a little bit more of this sort of cheap running or affordable running sort of stuff, you know, whether it's kit, whether it's shoes, whether it's tech, whatever you want. We can maybe do a little bit more of that. And just to answer the question, the reason I bought all 3 in black versions is because I'm now going to use them, other than probably the Asics, but I'm going to use them for work, basically. I thought to myself, what am I going to do with all these shoes? But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to wear them to work because I can get away with sort of a black pair of shoes, so that's fine for me. And I'll probably the Asics are probably not so bad, actually. I'll probably just potter about them at park run and things like that, but the other 2 I'll probably just wear them to work and things like that, so they will serve a purpose, because I say I do need a pair or a couple of pairs for work, so that's why I've got the black versions. Right guys, so that's it from me. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave me today. I forgot to ask you to do that at the start of the video, but who cares. But yes, make sure you do subscribe, and I shall catch you guys later.